Memories are movies.
That's what movies are for us. Pieces of time.
Pieces of time.
J. Kelly is directed by Noah Baumbach and written by Noah Baumbach and Emily Mortimer. The film stars George Clooney and Adam Sandler. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, famous movie actor J. Kelly embarks on a journey of self-discovery, confronting his past and present with his devoted manager, Ron. Noah Baumbach is a talented filmmaker that kind of focuses on the personal struggles and hardships that come with life. Everyday sort of people who find themselves in relationships or struggles in life that we all tend to kind of go through, whether it be with family or loved ones. It doesn't matter what it is. That's kind of what he's used to in terms of what he likes to kind of showcase to people, in how us human beings tend to really hide behind what life tends to throw at us, and how we try to do our best to get through it as much as we just are struggling through it. Whether it's the Meyerowitz Story or Marriage Story, Baumbach is an exceptional director that has a keen eye for being personal. Now, it's not to say like these are the only two movies he's done. Of course, he has had a longer career prior to those movies, and of course he has had a long career of doing also co-writing movies with a bunch of directors like Wes Anderson and his real-life wife and fellow director Greta Gerwig. It's not to say that this guy isn't new to anything. I'm just saying, like, in more recent years, most people would probably know him from directing movies like this or co-writing, such as with his wife for Barbie, which was of course one of the biggest movies of 2023. So with this film, it also touches on being personal. It is a personal story, but being an actor in the film industry. What does it mean to have an illustrious career that spans decades, whilst also showcasing the flaws and issues that this actor went through and what he was striving to do to become what he is? Having Clooney and reteaming with Sandler again after doing something like the Meyerowitz Story, which I highly recommend to anyone who would like to see another good Noah Baumbach movie. I think that is a really exceptional one, especially having a good performance out of Adam Sandler. Baumbach has something to make here with showcasing to audiences what being an actor is, or at the very least being one that is so famous and so recognizable that everyone just loves this person. They're like starstruck. They're in awe at the fact that an actor you never thought could ever show up in your life just can one day be on a train or be in a city with just random people, but still make a huge lasting impressions because of the fact of how much this person has gained that same level of fame that actors of that caliber are known for. Upon watching it, I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed what I was offered. Now, even though there was a few issues with the movie that I can say were a problem, and stuff that kind of did showcase some of the things that I wish were better put together, it was entertaining and moving in areas. There were aspects of the movie that I found myself really enduring and really loving the movie, but then again, there were some of those few key points that did kind of hold it back from being much better than I thought it should have been. But before discussing my problems, here are my positives that I have. The performances are splendid. Clooney is charming and troubled as famous actor J. Kelly, even though he's always charming, because that has always been the case for George Clooney throughout his entire career. He's always been that charming, likable guy that everyone wishes they could be. I mean, if not you, somebody you know has probably felt like, I want to be like George Clooney, in the sense of I want to be that charismatic, smooth, and suaving guy who can just easily make people like me and charm my way through things. Clooney invokes a sense of regret, guilt, and sadness for his choices in life. There's an aspect to J. Kelly where he really does reflect and ponder on those crucial moments in his life that showcase, even though he made these decisions, he never really stopped to think, were they the right decisions to have done? Were they beneficial to me, in the sense of, did it help me, or did it just not get me closer to the people around me in my life? Did I feel like I just neglected everybody for the sake of me? So it's kind of pondering the idea of, what does it mean to be famous? What does it mean to have an illustrious career, whilst also just showcasing how much they try to be as normal as they can, even though, yes, they are famous people, I get it. But sometimes you have to look at how people frame things and how they showcase things versus what's actually going behind the scenes and how it's really displaying how much of that personal journey that they're on is reflected. And I think Clooney does match that level of being one of those actors that can feel like an old school actor, even though he's not. But he is one of those actors that just knows how to naturally make people feel instant connection and likability whenever he's on screen, but also a surface level of regret and guilt that he has felt. Adam Sandler is loyal and supportive as Ron Sunik, Jay's manager. As usual in drama, Sandler balances out with being serious but also being funny when he needs to be. This isn't your exaggerated Adam Sandler. This isn't childish Sandler. This is more so a more pulled back and more natural Sandler where he just knows how to carry scenes in moments that need to be serious and when they need to be funny. And he balances them out pretty well. There's never been a time where I think Adam Sandler couldn't do that because, of course, he's proven that he can really pull off really good acting chops. And here he just continues that kind of trend of knowing when to balance them out in the scenes that he's in. Both Clooney and Sandler play well off of each other, which helps keep things interesting, keeps things fun to watch, to see these actors kind of ponder on life, their careers, what they've done for each other. It was all very fascinating to watch and to see both Clooney and just Sandler just be in the same scenes together and just know how to play into what the scenes ask for are very well done. The direction is stellar. Director Noah Baumbach takes us on this journey with ease and keeps conversational scenes investing to watch, allowing for some funny and dramatic parts to shine when they need to be. Baumbach has a way of making things funny in very serious or albeit natural ways. He just has that sense of way of conveying it that feels like how you would normally have a conversation, that they try to have serious conversations but they'll throw in jokes here and there to keep things as lighthearted as they can. And I think he is really showcasing what it means to be an actor of Jay Kelly's stardom. What does it mean to have this sort of larger than life personification on the world, whilst not realizing that there is something there with Jay Kelly and how he tries to kind of sway off things of the past and what he has said and done in the present. It showcases Baumbach in a way of really still able to touch upon the ideas of what it means to have a legacy. What does it mean to have this sort of impact on people's lives that aren't like related to you or not like family members, but rather just the world itself. How does the world perceive you versus how your family and friends perceive you as? The cinematography is beautiful. Cinematographer Linus Sandgreen shoots a gorgeous and stunning film that shows off Italy as well as Kelly's past. It all feels seamless. The way in which Italy is presented in this movie is gorgeous. It's beautiful, especially in the little town that they occupy in for a good majority of the movie. Even the little train sequence I thought was pretty beautiful to see, but really when it showcases Kelly's past or even on like a movie set, it looks amazing. Gorgeous. It really invokes the Hollywood aesthetic that is being on display here, but also just showcasing the way in which Kelly kind of recounts parts and bits and pieces of his past and how he had to deal with things and how he once saw it as this, but then kind of looking back on it, he then sees it a different way. Sandgreen was able to keep things as personal as he can and keep it as focused on Kelly for a good majority of this movie and was able to keep things moving in a good way of showcasing how it all translates into the scenes in which is the present and then the past. The music is excellent. Composer Nicholas Brittle crafts a score that's brimming with wonder and makes it moving, fitting in line with its tone and style. Nicholas Brittle is a composer recently that has gained notoriety through something like Succession and fans like me in Star Wars with Andor. But here he is able to craft a score that invokes what Hollywood is like, but also just the quiet, tender moments, as well as the luscious feeling of being on vacation. There's just something about how he tries to invoke the sense of wonder and the atmosphere of how everything feels. He's able to do that in a way where it feels, as I would say, natural, human in a way of how you really want to fit the vibes of what this movie goes for. The writing is solid. Writers Baumbach and Mortimer pens a script that's funny but mainly insightful on reflecting one's life and the choices that one has made. It also allows for the actors to bounce off of each other in a good way. Like I said, the feeling of how the world wants to perceive you, how you want your legacy to be, but also the family and friends that are involved that see you and how they perceive you compared to the rest of the world. I think that is amazing. There's some good moments of dialogue between the actors, especially with Clooney and Sandler. There's some good conversations with each other. All around, really excellent work on the writing part. The production is well done. From the settings, costumes, and crew work, it's effortless, allowing it all to shine. Productions like these, especially for Netflix, of course, they're always going to try to be as high quality. But for a movie that I don't think tries to be as crazy and over the top or as zany as a lot of Netflix movies tend to be. This one just feels simple. It's kind of similar to what he did with like Marriage Story. Marriage Story was the same way, and how that felt from like the Meyerowitz story, in that it just felt more personal, more low stakes in the sense of nothing crazy or big, and how the settings are fit well with how it tries to come off feeling. And the amount of talent that went into making this seem like an actor's vacation, how an actor's daily life goes. He was able to capture that sense of feeling of what an actor does on a daily basis is pretty amazing, and it's remarkable to see all that talent just being put into this one project. The editing is fluent, even when transitioning into Kelly's past and present. It flows well when it cuts to those moments, making sure it's consistent. There's never a point where the editing just kind of goes all over the place, crazy quick cuts. Nothing like that. Just simple, easy transitional moments with each cut, and moving along with how the present and past kind of fuse together, and showcasing and portraying what Kelly was like in the past versus how he is now, and how he kind of retroactively looks at things. That was all done in a way where it felt very fluent and never felt like it went off the rails or crazy. For all of its enjoyments, it has some loose parts that doesn't all come together in a way that I think it could have, but that's just me. So here are now my negatives. The pacing runtime is excessive. Scenes will go on, I think, a bit too longer than they should. With a runtime of 2 hours and 12 minutes, it's drawn out. I don't think this movie needed to be over 2 hours. I think it could have gotten away with being under, or at least about, but I really don't think this needed to be over. I feel like by the time they get to Italy and they solve a situation, as much as I was still liking some of the parts and discussions that it was having, I just feel like it was padding this movie out way too long than it needed to be. The story is all over. While a few good moments following this famous actor reflect on his past and present didn't always stick to one thing, feeling like two movies that was merged into one. I think there are good ideas in here, and I think there are some excellent parts, especially when you have the actors having those moments that they are in. But I also do think that this movie has kind of a identity crisis, in the sense of, does it want to be reflected on the legacy of a person, or does it want to focus on the legacy impact that it has on a family? Because with Jay Kelly, he has two daughters in this movie, and he feels as if he never got the chance to spend time with them, or that his work life and how he is as a person has kind of affected their relationships in a way. I just think that it just never really stuck to one thing. It really felt like it was dabbling in a few areas with both of them, and there was never this sort of feeling of like, okay, this is what it's mainly about. Like, yes, it is about him confronting his past and his present, but is it really focusing on him in terms of his legacy? What is it had on people? Or is it more about this actor who, even if he is beloved, is he trying to right the wrongs of his past? Because it just seems like it never really found its footing and never really got the hang of like which one it wanted to go for. It was trying to have it both ways, and it just never could find a way of balancing both of those out to where it could feel equal, but it just felt like one was kind of getting more attention than the other, and then the other was getting more attention than the other. Like, there was never this sort of like both were equal. Like, one was more getting the attention than the other, or vice versa. It was never feeling like there was a solid ground for both this or really one of these stories to feel like it was satisfying all around. The daughter's subplot is underdeveloped while adding to the drama because there are some excellent scenes with Clooney and his daughters. Their stories just don't feel fully realized by the end in being really unresolved. There's never a point where it felt cathartic or felt relieved on what Kelly was trying to do with his daughters, because while there was some build up with it and some progress towards trying to possibly rekindle or try to at the very least see what he can salvage, even if it won't be 100%, I feel like there just wasn't really a really good conclusion for the stories to really feel like is a definite end. And I'm sure so many people could say, well, life's never a definite end and things could change. And that's true. But I do think that for a movie that's trying to do all of this and still have this story about him trying to go after his daughter because she's going to go away to college, there's never this feeling of their storylines feel super duper crucial, because it just seemed like half the time he was focusing on his life and his career more than at times on his daughters. Like I said, there's never a balance to that, and to me, it seemed like they really got the short end of the stick. Led strong by Clooney and Sandler, J. Kelly offers Baumbach a chance to showcase an aging actor reflect his life. Though loose in areas, it manages to still be entertaining to watch by the end. I was still satisfied overall with the amount of effort that was put into the movie in regards to how it looks and feels. And again, led by both Clooney and Sandler, they were able to capture this sort of duality of an actor who's aging, who's trying to make somewhat of a life for himself, or at the very least reflect his life, even if it's not always 100% sticking the landing or always finding its footing. I do respect Baumbach for at least trying to do something that most other directors would kind of fumble and just completely fail at miserably. And I really think that he's able to still keep that personal understanding of people and how friends and families kind of respond in that way. I'm going to give Jay Kelly a 7 out of 10. It's an enjoyable watch. If you want to watch something that is good on Netflix to enjoy and just see George Clooney and Adam Sandler together in a movie, this one will do it for you. I think you'll have a good time seeing Clooney just being who he is. Yeah, I think this movie had something there I think could have been even more amazing, but I mean, I'll sell with an enjoyability. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So I'll be soon doing my review for Avatar Fire and Ash, and then finally Marty Supreme, and then that'll be it for this year, you guys. So yes, look forward to those reviews and other reviews coming soon.